Hello, Poopsies. Today I'm going to be talking about the universe, aliens, past lives, all that wild, phenomenal stuff. So before this begins, if you could just subscribe, tap the bell, hit all notifications, and check my website, TonyBomboni.com. If you'd like to go ahead and book your own personal services for me, I like personalize a custom ASMR videos, custom personalized Reiki healings, custom personalized tarot readings, coffee cup readings, and candle wax readings. So all the links in the description below to also my online courses and my Spotify and Apple Music. So please check me out on all those. It's all great ways to help support my channel to keep going, to keep producing daily content for you. So today I just felt like random idea just downloaded to me while I was sitting on the couch, like thinking like, what should I film today? So I thought of Dolores Cannon. I was looking at my bookshelf. I'm like, let me talk about not all, but like most, like all the information I've been reading as of late in the last year or so. Like I just want to like get that out there because I feel like it's important that someone's work is kind of discussed or talked about. And I've spoken a lot about her because I don't know, her work just really drew me in ever since 2019. Like it's just something that pulled me in and changed my life forever. And when she was talking about by the way, if you don't know who Dolores Cannon is, she was an author. She passed away in 2014. But she used to go do conferences globally and host classes with her own technique, which is called QHHT, Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique. And she's who kind of pulled me into the hypnotherapy thing. And then I ended up studying to be a clinical and transpersonal hypnotherapist with over 500 hours of education. I don't actively use that certificate and licensure, but I have studied it because of my high interest in that field. And I loved learning about past lives, and I always used to watch like YouTube videos of people getting past life regressions, and then that's when I discovered amazing people like Alba Weinman, and I've got a couple of past life regressions with her as well. You can see them on her YouTube channel. Just type Alba Weinman, and then you'll find a couple. But so basically, and she actually was trained by Dolores as well, but she does not use her healing technique, so that's kind of interesting there. But what I was going to say is that Dolores did hypnosis at first, I believe. She learned from her husband, who was doing hypnotherapy, and then she learned about how to do past lives because past life came through in someone's hypnotherapy session. And that's when she never went back, and she was very captivated by the subject, and she's written books about that ever since. And I think she has about 19 or 20 books. I've read through all of them besides Convoluted Universe series, the Hiroshima one, and the Custodians. I'm starting the Custodians now, so I haven't read through it fully yet. But basically, from what I've learned so far, this subject matter goes deep. You can start with her book, 5 Lives Remembered. That's just, I think, her first book, a basic rundown of what past lives can look like, a very simple format of it, even though it's still very intriguing and complex how, someone sees an actual past life. I think the one that really stuck with me the most was that German woman, that tough German woman that died in that book. Like, my gosh, that was my favorite one, like, ever to read about, like how her ghost, when she died, when she was killed, her ghost came to get revenge. Like, that was so fascinating to read about. Like, wow, I do believe this is true. Like, this is why there are ghost hauntings and sightings and all that stuff. That kind of stuff, lore, if you would call it, used to fascinate me so very much. But yeah, the mystery. I always loved reading like mystery books, things that can get a little bit dark and twisted, but not like too dark. Like, I'm not into horror movies and stuff. But anyway, so yeah, the aliens have always been something that resonated with me as a kid. Like, always felt like one. I always felt like an outcast, an outsider. And then she brought up the concept of the 3 waves of volunteers. And that's what really pulled me into her work. Like, I resonate with the 2nd wave so freaking much. Like, I would be a late bloomer, 2nd wave. Like, I'd be like one of the last ones probably, because sometimes they interlap. So 2nd wave can be coming in during the era of when the 3rd wave are coming in, and a little bit sometimes when the 1st wave are coming in as well. So basically, the 1st wave are just the 1st wave of people who came to help planet Earth shift, align into a higher vibration ever since the atomic bombs were dropped at Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The aliens are basically watching us, and this is their garden, and we are the offspring of that garden. And this is all allegedly in entertainment purposes. I'm just kind of feeding back to you what all the information and connecting the dots here about our creation and evolution in life. But yeah, and maybe you get ASMR. Even if you don't believe this, I think this might be like a nice bedtime story to use your imagination and let it run wild for a bit with me. Let's just pretend this is reality, right? But I think this is fact, because here's why. In my opinion, when you receive a past life regression, you are tapping into information that others tap into in their subconscious minds. There is no coincidence in this world. How come someone will say the same thing about aliens who has no freaking clue about what even aliens are in hypnosis as someone else does as well? In hypnosis, they don't even know each other and they see the same thing. Think about it. We are all tapping into the same frequency, the same piece, missing puzzle pieces put together in a whole bigger picture. That's what Dolores Cannon did through her line of work. And this is what I'm going to tell you, because I believe, again, like, she didn't just write her books just for SHIT and giggles. No, she did it so others could help spread the word and promote the teachings. And it's not religion or anything of the sort. It's just kind of like, have to have an open mind sometimes and think bigger picture, zoom out a little bit. So not get caught up in what we're just seeing or what book we're thrown at in our face growing up. You know what I'm saying? So basically, what I was getting at is that the aliens we are a genetic experiment. The human beings are, and we are being watched, and that's why people see UFO sightings and lights and stuff they can't understand. They've always been here, apparently, and we know this, and they come in and out because of the dimensions shift frequencies and change here and there, and so sometimes we tap into 4th or 5th frequencies, maybe even 6th. Depends on, I don't know, I guess if you meditated today or you're eating high healthy foods, nutritional diet, that's why it's so important, because there's a lot of like chaos and bad things that happen on Earth nowadays all the time. So you don't want to be a part of that. You don't want to put that in your bubble. And it's not being ignorant, right? I don't like when people are being ignorant or denying that bad things are happening. That's when I lose all respect. As long as you admit and are accepting that bad things happen, you're good. Like, it's not the ignorance of, because if you're ignoring it or denying it or pretend like it's not happening, you have a lot of lessons to learn in life. But if you admit that it's occurring, just like the aliens see, oh yeah, there's a lot of bad crap happening here. But you're not putting it into your space, right? Like, you're not allowing that to change how you feel overall, your vibration, or lower your vibration or frequency to allow you to fear it or think, oh my God, I'm going to like hide all day because I'm so afraid of this thing or this person, right? So, and it's not easy. I understand we all have fear, right? We are fear-based beings, really. I mean, we have to, because to survive, our brains are like, hey, you're still a caveman and you still have to watch out for that tiger, So it's not that easy. But that's why the 3 waves came in. They're higher vibration. They are, yes, still very fearful because they're so high vibration, honestly, that they're not used to the war and the crimes here that happen on the frequency of 3D planet Earth. Earth is on a, let's say, 3.6D. It's kind of 3.5 dimension. Pure 3D would be like very low, like, oh my God, bad things all the time. But we still have beauty here. But now apparently we are shifting into a higher vibration because the earth herself is changing her frequency. For the first time in this universe, at least, maybe all universes, I don't know, she has decided, and a planet in itself, a planet which is a live being, by the way, it is alive. That is why there's butterflies and plants and flowers and atmosphere for us to breathe oxygen. We are alive, so the planet must be alive. Makes sense. We didn't just come from a machine. Although we're creating machine, which is how complex things got nowadays in terms of creation. But regardless, a planet for the first time is actually splitting off into two separate Earths, identities, dimensions, whatever you want to call it and conceive it, because everyone has a different interpretation of what 5D Earth will be or how that shift is going to take place. I believe truly in my heart it is already taking place. What is 5D? It is a higher vibration. So we're in 3.6 right now. We're probably, I would say like 4.5 by now, to be honest. Okay. I think we're well beyond the 3.6 of things of old. You can clearly see things are changing fast. I think we're 4 something, but, consciousness has shifted. The new age is here. New age is not a bad thing. It is just the new era. It is time to change. Life changes all the time. What makes us think we're going to stay in the same place, stuck in the same reality? Roman era times all our life. Doesn't make sense. How boring that would be, and how much suffering that would be as well, because it would feel like we were imprisonment of our own creation. Why would we cast ourselves to remain in one place forever? It's not kind to ourselves. So, just like the animals die off, they go extinct, so do we, but in a different way. We're going to continue living, and planet Earth will continue being fine on her own. It's just, we have to shift with her, you see? So, the things seem like they're getting worse because the older timeline is splitting off, and things at the same time, you notice, are getting also better in other ways. It's like good, bad, and ugly. Or I should say good and bad, right? Like good and bad are kind of like in between state right now. Just like cells splitting off, they kind of go like this. This is the original Earth, and now it's doing this, and we're somewhere around here now. We're kind of almost ready to split. You can feel it. So, things are changing. That could cause earthquakes, that could cause tsunamis. Dolores Cannon has gone over all of this in her line of work, especially if you read the Nostradamus 3-book series that will go in depth and detail about that. And then we'll talk about the Antichrist and stuff like that. But I won't go into that too much. I just want to talk about the out there kind of wild stuff today. But I have to describe the 5D Earth split because this kind of goes into how funny our universe is. And it makes sense. If our cells and our bodies split and do that, why can't a planet, which is also circular like a cell, everything in life imitates itself, right? So we have the Fibonacci sequence in many different life forms in this creation matrix. So why would it not repeat itself as a orb, as a circular? You notice the Milky Way is all circular. It is all also Fibonacci. It is all very much revolutionary. Life changes and it revolves and it goes in infinitum circular cycles. The infinite logo is circular and cyclical. So this is why the orbits around the sun are circular. Everything is circling around itself. So what makes you think, yeah, we're circling, we're repeating, but we're also moving at the same time. We're not just stuck. The sun is not actually still. It still moves through the universe. It just appears still to us. So everything is in those cycles moving and shifting, even though you may not feel it or notice it right off the bat. You may not notice how Neptune is impacting us when it goes, Pluto or Neptune. Yeah, Pluto goes back into Aquarius in September, but big changes are coming once it does. So, I'm just saying, this is definitely one of the biggest years in a long time that will shift everything, and I truly do believe that. And there is what they call like the quote-unquote death date, or the final day of the end times, or when the storybook closes, the chapter closes on the old reality. And Dolores' work has predicted through the Nostradamus Volume 3 that after predicting with astrologers and seeing the predictions he's made, that it would be October, I believe, 24th, or was it 26th? October 24th, 2029. And that gave me goosebumps because around, again, October, I think it was 25th of this year, we're supposed to be having a planetary alignment that hasn't occurred since the year 79 AD. And that is apparently supposed to cause shooting stars that we're supposed to see, like big ones, and maybe huge implications in the climate, the global weather shift. You've seen more tornadoes, floods, hurricanes, everything. More frequently, hotter weather, colder weather at the same time. You know, that polarity, it's all very, very extreme. So that is 5 years out from that end days now. Maybe, just maybe it still could be this year, but you know, after all, you can get tired of the predictions, and I just more look at predictions like mile markers at this point. I don't look at it like, oh, it could be this day, it could be a July 11, it could be blah, blah, blah. No, like, shush. Everyone, shh. Calm down, okay? Because when you get so entrapped in that, again, you're taking yourself away vibrationally from the 5-dimensional shift. You're focusing too heavily on that, and as everyone knows, no one knows the day or the time, okay? So just calm down, everyone. Relax. Buckle up, though, but it's going to be a bumpy ride, but just relax, okay? Enjoy the ride, okay? All right, so don't worry about, like, you know, you're on a plane, you're not thinking like, oh my God, we better be there at 6:33 or else, like, that flight attendant going to tell you to shush, fasten your seatbelt. She's going to throw some peanuts at you and call it a day, right? Like, really, like, I guess God would be like the creator of the plane. His angels might be the flight attendants and the pilot. And us measly humans are just sitting there. We got to buckle up and fasten our seatbelt. That's all we can do, guys, okay? So just enjoy the ride. Don't worry about the time. You'll get there, all right? We'll get there, but it will be a little turbulent in a good and a bad way, like I said. So it just depends how you view it. So you're part of the vibration because creation is so awesome. It doesn't want us to suffer. It is your choice. At the end of the day, it is your choice where you go down. Some people will remain in the old earth. Some people will go in the new earth. Some people won't even make the split. They'll go off in a different timeline, frequency, universe, whatever, and they will learn their karma if they haven't completed it by now. If they haven't closed the chapter, they're going to go in a different version of Earth or another planet overall. So, basically the aliens, because they are so careful of us, they don't want us hurting each other. So ever since that Japan, Hiroshima happened, that explosion caused ripples and reverberations through the universe. Believe it or not, we are purposely and intentionally placed as planet Earth extremely far away from other planets, solar systems, galaxies, because we are so important. We are so protected for that reason, and it sucks because we're more alone, outcast. We don't have that intergalactic connection to other beings and creation out there, but we are being protected for a reason, and that should make us feel more special because we are being watched. You see, they're there. The other day, a lady saw from New York the Tic Tac flying across the sky. I mean, they're here. Sometimes they do that actually because they want to let us know they're there, like not to worry, not to freak out, and that they're actually protecting us. Like, not like when people are like, oh, they're like, you know, lower level entities and demonic and like, you know, that kind of stuff. I don't really agree. I never once felt like anything sinister from that. Like, if they were truly, they would have done like so much damage by now. I mean, if they have the power to go like fly that fast. I always remember this one as a kid. There was a craft that flew over Russia that went like over 4,000 miles an hour. Like, if they're able to do that, and come from another planet, what makes us think that they couldn't destroy us if they wanted to? Honestly, like, just think about it. I don't know. You could argue with me and say, hey, maybe they've already invaded. That's why everything's controlled and taken over, and there's a system that we don't like, that we're in, and who knows, we may not like everything that a higher vibrational dimension has to do or offer, because to us in the lower dimensional vibration, we want comfort, we want safety, we want security. We don't all want to be the same, but the higher vibration requires us to be the same. It requires us to be nothing but light and love. It requires us to get along, so there's many arguments we could say, but for argument's sake, I'll just leave it there. But overall, because we're an important experiment, they will do what it takes to ensure we do not, basically, as Dolores in her own words says, blow ourselves up, or the universe, and cause negative ripples, because that explosion caused negative ripples through the universe. And this is why you notice that there haven't been those type of eruptions ever since, because they are so like right now, these people think, oh, there's going to be this whole like thing and back and forth exchange between countries and stuff. Like, no, they are, I hope not, but like they're making sure that that does not happen. Like if someone tries to send one off, that will be disabled like that. So we just can't shift vibrationally higher. We'll end up destroying ourselves like Atlantis did at one point. So basically they erupted themselves because they were very much greedy after a while. And the Atlanteans got power hungry, and they realized that they could tap into this like frequency of like all this wonderful stuff, like I guess free energy and all this stuff. I won't even go into it, but that sometimes makes a being very much hungry for more. And this is why we're in the most sensitive time than ever, because there are things coming out, like let's say AI, that it can go one way or the other. Really, I mean, it'll all boil down to that. It'll either go one way or the other, really. And that's the split, that's the timeline, that we're all at right now. It's almost like everyone just has no choice but to go one way or the other. It's not even about picking sides. It's just you either go new earth or old earth. That's really what it boils down to. Old earth is all about what's happening now, and worse, new earth is like, there's no such thing as like politics or religion or any of that stuff. It's just like there's no argument, there's no reason to split off anymore. It's just like you are going down the path of pure light, and that's something that people can't understand. They can't zoom out, they can't see the bigger picture, they can't wrap their head around that most times. And yeah, probably most people won't even make it. Her work shows that there might be a lot of destruction on this place, with like flood waters and just like everything. It's just water. Age of Aquarius, we're all about water. Like it's just like air and water, like air into water, like turning that, like the tides, like they say the water falls from the sky. Literally, it's like the veil opens and it just floods us all. So spiritually and physically as well. It's a cleansing. There are going to be a lot of winds as well. A lot of winds clearing things away. When the wind blows, typically that means it's just clearing old negative energy from an area. So there's going to be, unfortunately, a lot of like tornadoes as well. Because a lot of stagnant old energy has been in a lot of those places for a long period of time. So that needs to be kind of removed. And we may not like it, but there's like a higher reason for that, even when a hurricane hits or something like that, there's just a lot of that old, same stagnant energy has to just go. And, again, there's a lot of like control and manipulative aspect to that. I won't even go into that, because there are forces, of course, trying to change that and the patterns and all that stuff. But that's also why Earth's at the same time fighting back. But guess who wins at the end? Earth, God, source, universe, always. I do believe. So, again, I wish more would just see the bigger picture here. It's not about like left, right, or whoever is right or wrong. It's just about the bigger picture. So, the bigger picture, I do believe, yes, if we are actually being observed and watched like a human would observe and watch their plant, their terrarium, to make sure it grows all right, and the ants are going through the tunnels and blah 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 blah, then we'll be fine. It's almost like we just have to flow with life. We have to be okay and accept life just the way it is. Things have to change. Change is inevitable. Life can't go on without drastic extreme change and shifts. So ultimately, I believe we're protected divinely. We'll be all right. Everything is in working, functioning order, even if there are opposing forces trying to stop that from occurring or trying to take over. All right. So basically, we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen with this shift. This is the first time it's ever happened. And I don't think anyone really knows. And the unpredictable is scary but beautiful. And yeah, we sign up for this. Apparently souls sign up for their journey on Earth or wherever they go, and so the volunteers come from higher places. They actually come from a place typically called a Grand Central Sun. I've definitely seen myself in my first past life. I didn't even know what the hell that was. I'm like, why am I seeing a big sun? And it just makes so much sense. And I started reading her work more, and I'm like, oh my God, I got goosebumps. I'm like, this is actually truth. Like, we actually come from this huge sunlight, which is like they call God. That's why people used to worship the sun so damn much, because not our sun. Our sun is not the Grand Central Sun. There's a sun that's even bigger, brighter, more beautiful and abundant. We can't even understand it. I'm not even sure if it's even a real sun in the universe. It's just like a symbological representation of light, period. And you live in there and you're just like a wisp of light. And I've seen myself as light so many times. I see myself as like a 13 dimension, I think, light being, and I always was drawn to number 13. So I'm like, no wonder why I was born on the 13th. There's something there. Definitely, I don't believe there's any mistake or coincidence in this creation. But when you're a higher vibration being, or you're at one point, which you are at the same time now, because everything is kind of same time here and now. You could be living multiple lives at the same exact time as now. You basically have to do a split off. So there's an oversoul, which is like what kind of like manages everything. And then like imagine like the octopus head, and the tentacles are all little branches off of your different lives. So there's a life of Tony, a life of as a woman, I'm here, and a life of a woman in the future. I don't know, life of a spider, life of a grass blade. I've seen myself so many different things. A storm on Neptune. I was a slave, like I was a Hawaiian lady, like just so many different lives. A caveman. And so like there's typically maybe around, let's say 12. I don't know the exact number. But basically there's some repetition with 12. Because we have 12 months of the year. Some say 13 because it was originally 13, so it could be 13 as well. I don't know. But, 12 hands on a clock, stuff like that. So there's a lot with 12s that repeat time and time again. And that's like an imitation. Art imitates itself. Beauty, life imitates itself. Everything imitates, so that helps you grasp the bigger picture. But overall, we choose to come here to help raise the vibration. So if you're first, second, third wave of volunteer, third wave is like the new children, the ones that are helping raise the vibration. They're the ones that are going to be the instigators for a major change on planet Earth. And I'm telling you, these new kids are different. Like they're helping shift us. And so once the older ones go, and then, we're nothing but first, second, and third wavers, and a mix of just a few people that are just like, they call like earthlings, or people who've just been reincarnating over and over and over and over and over for hundreds, thousands of years on Earth. They're going to naturally elevate and raise their vibration with all this new alien energy. And these volunteers come from different places, like the Grand Central Sun, like I said, like different planets, dimensions, all that stuff. So basically, if you're like a 13 or 12 dimensional being, you basically branch off into little formats. You have to divide yourself into 11, then 10, then 9, all the way down to 3.6. And so you have to live all those at the same time, and you can't just go from 13 to 3, you know what I mean? You have to like lower your vibration, because that will like crush the soul or the light of that person, the encoding of the matrix of who they are as creation in this universe. That's so complicated. And you can't just go from 3 to 5 or you'll explode. And that's why people have a lot of like health stuff now, because it's a lot for our body to take in that much. It's a lot for our bodies to take in all that light and love. It's taxing on the cells, so we have to hydrate frequently, eat lighter. You know, we're going to apparently start shifting into more liquid diets after a few years, let's say 2050s, 60s onwards. So that, you know, like juices and like stuff like that, pastes, like lighter meals that are not, because apparently digestion is taxing on the body. It's why we have so much waste, and that waste has so much poison, which actually reduces our lifespan. So ultimately, you know, this is not medical advice. Obviously, I'm talking about a future scenario, but what I'm saying is overall, this is why our diets have shifted, you know. I've definitely noticed that in me. I've stopped eating certain foods. I almost can't even bear it anymore. So like, you know, getting rid of like smoking and soda and like just alcohol, just stuff like that. It's just very, very taxing on the body, and it lowers your vibration. And why would you do that to yourself constantly, you know? It just, you know, we all have a different separate journey, but at the end of the day, you know, as we're elevating slowly, your habits will shift, and you'll notice that over time. If you can't really quit now, you'll notice you will after a while, because the vibrations just do not match anymore. And that's why so many people also have been going lately, you know, clocking out of this earth, because they just, it's like, it's almost like it just doesn't match anymore. It doesn't vibrationally match to the new earth, to the new energies, and it's just a split, you know. And depends on like the day, and sometimes we're shifting to the old and the new earth, and in between you might see like someone clocking out while you're in the old earth. It's because they actually went to the new earth, you know. So it's very, very complicated to explain, but we're kind of supposed to be apparently going in and out for some time. So yeah, I've read a lot about the abductions and those cases where people get elevated from their beds while they're asleep and they go through the ceiling. It's because they're usually two aliens side by side lifting and elevating the person. Sometimes they do it from the ship. They just beam a light and it just changes the cell so that it can go through walls and doorways if needed. And yeah, they're experimented on, but our minds think it's bad because a lot of times people have bad dreams or nightmares about that. I've actually had one, which is why I've known, like, even as a kid, they've taken me. Like, I've known, like, there was a time or two where I feel like I had like an implant or something. I don't know, it's just something weird in the body, and then it went away, or just something changed. And but basically they will do this when you are kind of least expecting. Well, you're in a kind of like hypnotic state as well, like even like when you're asleep or driving. Typically they'll just completely stop your car, and you'll have in your subconscious some memory of it, but because they wipe your memory clean so you don't get traumatized, basically, and there's that free will aspect, like you're not supposed to remember or know who they are, that they're just star family. They're just our caretakers overall. Our subconscious creates that bad dream or that nightmare to kind of cloud what actually happened. But every time people go into hypnosis and see themselves getting alien, they just see like, oh, they were just like having to implant this in me and it was pain-free. Or sometimes they will like remove your soul and put it in a jar while they work on the body, so the soul is not like traumatized by what is being happening to the body while they're experimenting. Like, it's mostly what they're experimenting is not like necessarily bad. It's just like either one of two things, basically implanting to help you raise your vibration or fix or correct your health in some way if you're deteriorating your health in a way. And again, since for experiments, they need to check on us from time to time, or to check on how we are being affected by, let's say, pollution levels or different factors of our environment. And this is why they do this to cows. And you see that because basically what they are doing is it's a way to let people know, hey, we're here, we're doing this, you know, basically like, hey, we're real. That's what the crop circles are for too, but also to raise people's vibration. Actually, when you look at crop circles, you actually are raising your vibration just looking at them, and there's messages they send. There's like messages. Those are actually their language, where it's like a universal language that everyone knows except us, apparently. But just by looking at it, you actually are receiving downloads and tapping in. So if you go through Google Images and search crop circles and just start looking at pictures of them all day, like, you're gonna start getting downloads, I'm telling you. But anyway, the cow thing is just basically about, like, yeah, we do experiments, and as horrible as that sounds, the way they just leave them there, they also have to extract them because there's something in them that's kind of similar to our ecology as well, and other species and primates and stuff. So they need those certain organs to do testing on, basically. So that's why that has to occur, according to her information. So yeah, but overall, everyone's always left back where they were found, and nothing overall bad really happens. It's just, I don't know. It's very fascinating stuff, why certain things have to go about a certain way or happen. Again, we're an experiment. It's not guaranteed every time something good will happen out of it. There were a case or two where a man will get really, really sick and die after being taken because they can't handle those high vibrations. So it just really all depends. We have overall no control in our lives in general. And so we just kind of have to live with what we've been given. And I think what's really freaky dicky is just being aware that, wow, we actually are an experiment. Like, whoa, this is like a laboratory, and we're here, and it's like a garden laboratory. It's just mind-blowing. Like, I remember one day I was just sitting there like an hour, like thinking, like, oh my God, like literally we are being watched above. Like, this is it. Like, this is the grand experiment. Like, oh my gosh, it just blows your mind. But again, because you're so many aspects, you're not just you are so many different versions of yourself, all at the same time, past, present, future. So don't get too attached or caught up in where you're at now, because it's interchangeable. It's not here forever, first of all, but the timeline is always going to be there. The timelines are so complicated because it's all happening now, so all that matters is now. So all you have to worry about is now. You don't have to worry about how complicated it is what I'm trying to say, okay? And don't worry about, oh, I missed that memory, that event that happened. It's going to keep happening. It's all now anyway, right? So, and don't worry about the future because it's already here. You know what I mean? In a way, in a sense. So, yeah, basically, whether you believe in past lives or not, you can find out a lot about yourself through them, and it's a way to heal your subconscious mind. Even if that life didn't happen, sometimes there are past lives that didn't actually happen. They're called imprints, and basically when you're not even on earth, you're a soul before you incarnate on let's say a human body, for example, or a body, or avatar of your choosing. You have to sometimes live a life of an imprint, or view it. It's like almost like a book or a template you look into, and you get sucked into that life and experience it as if it's your own, or you just take it on as your own in your soul. It's hard to explain, but it just kind of encodes or downloads in you. And you receive the impression of that life as if you've lived it. So sometimes you'll see a past life that's not actually a past life that's been lived, but an imprint of someone else's life. This is why many people see themselves as Cleopatra in a past, or Jesus or something like that, because that's an imprint. So many people can have that same imprint. Jesus or Cleopatra lived their life so that they can become an imprint. That was their soul plan. The reason they lived that life was to be a lot of people's imprint. The way of their living, their existence. Because if you are a high vibration being and you've never came to planet Earth before, you have no idea what the heck you're going to get. So you have to get some imprints to get a sense of, okay, basically what I'm trying to say is, imagine you're going to be doing a lab experiment in chemistry, okay? And this, you never even read the book. You've never read the review, the summary of what you're going to do that day, what kind of beakers you're going to work with, what kind of chemicals, and you just go blindly in that laboratory. What do you think is going to happen? You're going to fail that day. That teacher's going to give you a big fat F for today, because you're gonna have to come back and repeat it. So you're gonna have to keep reincarnating and coming back life after life, and that gets tiring. And honestly, even God doesn't have the patience for that after a while. Like, the aliens don't have patience for that. They want us to upgrade as fast as possible. They've waited for eons. They've waited too long. We've been failed experiments time and time again. Right now, this is it. And this is why things are changing so quickly and rapidly and so big, is because this is it. They want us to evolve. They want us to shift. They want us to be a part of our star family once and for all. They want us to self-actualize, realize like who we actually are. And there's a huge free will aspect to that as well. They cannot interfere. That's a big rule with aliens. They cannot interfere with our lives. You may think abducting is interfering. It's actually not, because they wipe our memory. And we're not aware. And it is also not interfering with our life in a point where, yeah, you may remember some of it through subconscious mind, but you have no, like, it shouldn't interfere overall with your day-to-day existence. After a while, you even forget that it even happened, or you had that dream or something, and you just go off and think it's just a dream. Like, you don't think much of it. So they can't actually come here as of yet and just interfere with our lives and say, this has to happen, you have to do things this way. There's a rule of non-interference of free will, and that is what they wanted to see. The biggest experiment is seeing what humans do with free will, and this is what they're waiting to unfold and find out. But basically, long ago, there was an asteroid that came to Earth and brought a bacterium that was devastating to our ecology and interrupted the experiment. So they tried to wipe everything, reset everything, clean slate, and then that happened. And then they said, you know what, screw it, F it, we're just gonna let this experiment go and keep going on and see what happens. And so here we are today, and this is what's happening. So this is why we have diseases and such, is because of that, that tainted part from the asteroid and the experiment from another world that was brought here unintentionally. They couldn't stop it. It was too big. It was actually something similar happened to the dinosaurs. That's what wiped them out, apparently, as well. So when that occurred, so yeah. But aliens have been coming around for a long time. They've been interbreeding with Eskimos and the first settlers in like northern Canada and Russia, and like, this is why sometimes they have blue eyes and blonde hair, in a rare aspect of their genome that comes through after a while to say, hey, you were actually interbred with another being from another world. And that's why they look so unusual. And sometimes there's like albino people, it's also wonderful how, creation does that sometimes. Like, I'm 2% Scottish apparently, and that's why I've always had like orangish hair on my arms. Even as a kid, I had like literally orange red hair and like hazily green eyes. I was like, what the hell? I looked like a ginger kid. It was so cute. But anyway, so oh my god, someone's okay. Sorry, I had to cut this off. The pest control company just came. So I'm gonna just finish off just with a couple more talking points, but basically some of the volunteers, like the second waivers, are just here to be and just here to introduce their light. And that's something I've seen time and time again in my regressions, is all I have to really do is just be, as boring as that sounds, and yeah. But and everywhere they go, they're like sending their light codes in places. So oftentimes the second waivers will just be able to travel more, or drawn to travel, or just be around others, even though they don't like people very much. And a lot of, unfortunately, people like that are pretty isolated and closed off, because again, they're not as used to the energies here on Earth and familiar. So yeah, but overall, this is a grand experiment, and we're signing up for it, and this is what it is deep down. As human level surface, we're not aware of it, but soul level, we are. And it's all in agreement, and nothing breaks your free will at the end of the day, So I believe that definitely the next several years to come will be very fascinating. Eventually we will be able to do space travel. But for the time being, there are other important matters to take care of on planet Earth. Before that, we have to solve what goes on here before we're able to go out there. You don't leave your house unless it's all tidied up and clean, is what I'm trying to say. So, yeah. I think it's all very fascinating concepts, and if you want to check out Dolores Cannon, you can. She's an author, like I said. You can see much of her work. There's a YouTube channel that still posts some of her podcasts on there, from all the topics she's dived deeply into, and I can't wait to read the rest of her books. And yeah, so that's pretty much it for today. I hope I remembered to cover everything. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this topic, and subscribe if you liked it. And again, TonyBomboni.com. Links all in the description below in the top pinned comment of the comments section. If you would like to sign up for any of my services or listen to anything like my ASMR albums, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you around next time. Take care. Bye-bye.